An Unholy Alliance by Dr. Michael Youssef. In 2014, the Salafi jihadist organization that calls itself the Islamic State, also known as ISIS or Daesh, declared itself to be the global caliphate, claiming to have religious and political authority over all Muslims throughout the world. Most Muslims rejected this claim, and many Muslim nations, including Saudi Arabia, designated ISIS a terrorist organization. The year 2014 is also when ISIS began publishing the online magazine Dabiq, which it circulated on the deep web, websites that are not indexed by search engines. The title of the magazine comes from the town of Dabiq in northern Syria. At that time, the jihadists of ISIS were at the peak of their strength, winning victory after victory across Iraq and Syria, and believing they were fulfilling a prophecy contained in the Hadith. The last hour would not come until the Romans land at Al-Amaq or in Dabiq, an army consisting of the best soldiers of the people of the earth at that time will come from Medina to counter them. According to this Islamic prophecy, the armies of Islam will fight and defeat the armies of the Romans, that is, European Christians, at Dabiq. This will take place during the Malahim time of fierce wars, leading up to the Yawm ad-Din, the Day Judgment. The ISIS fighters thus believed they were in the midst of the time of fierce wars, and they were bringing the world closer to the Day of Judgment. ISIS also used their magazine Dabiq as a recruitment tool to attract Muslims from around the world to join the caliphate and fight their way to the town of Dabiq for the long prophesied battle. The magazine published full-colour photos of gruesome atrocities the ISIS fighters committed, plus articles promising to reinstitute ancient Islamic practices, such as the sex enslavement of non-Muslim women. In August 2014, ISIS conquered the town of Dabiq, killing many Syrians and destroying ancient shrines, and holding the town for more than 2 years. The fighters were convinced that the Romans could come at any time to trigger the battle predicted by the Hadith. Then, in the fall of 2016, a joint operation of the Turkish army and the Free Syrian Army pushed ISIS out of Dabiq. The surviving ISIS fighters were stunned to discover they had not fulfilled the prophecy after all. Dabiq ceased publications soon after, and for the next 3 years, ISIS suffered defeat after defeat as its caliphate steadily shrunk. In March 2019, the global coalition liberated the last remaining ISIS stronghold in Baghouz in eastern Syria, and so ISIS was territorially defeated, losing all the land it had once controlled in Iraq and Syria. The self-declared caliphate ceased to exist. In October 2019, ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was killed by the US military. The prophecies in the Quran and the Hadith will never be fulfilled. They can't be because they contradict the prophecies of the Bible. As Christians, however, we know that many prophecies in the Old Testament have already been fulfilled. The birth of Jesus in Bethlehem, Micah 5:2, his suffering and death on the cross, Isaiah 53 and Psalm 22, his resurrection, Psalm 16:10, and even the 1948 re-establishment of the State of Israel, Ezekiel 36-37 and Isaiah 66:8, are all fulfillments of Old Testament prophecies. There are no biblical prophecies that specifically mention Islam, yet it seems certain that the Muslim world has an important role to play in God's plan for the end times. In fact, it's hard to imagine how the cataclysmic future events predicted in Daniel, Matthew, and Revelation could take place without involving the Islamic nations that encircle Israel. Let's explore the role that biblical prophecy seems to outline for the people of the Muslim world.